start recording. So it is recording now. Very well. Thank you for joining me
Thank you for having me.
for this series. You're welcome. Let's start with the basics. What is your name and what do you do in general?
Sure. So my name is Amin Bandali. I usually go by my last name online, Bandali, but Amin also works. I'm I guess, software engineer slash developer professionally. I currently happen to work at the Internet Archive as part of the search team. But yeah, in general, I think I like to describe myself as an activist for user freedom, like including free software and free knowledge and all of that. And yeah, I've been an active volunteer in various free software projects and communities for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Me, I believe I first heard of your name via EmacsConf. So you were one of the organizers of a few Emacs conferences, the annual conference focused on Emacs. Is this the case?
Yeah, that's correct.
So I think you were co-organizing it together with Sasha Chua, and I think it was also Corwin Brust or Burst. I don't remember what's the surname, and maybe a couple others. Brust, yeah.
So yeah, that's correct. And actually, this year is my 10th anniversary of my involvement in the EmacsConf.
Wow.
So my very first involvement with the EmacsConf was in 2015. At that time, it was an in-person conference, and the 2015 edition was held in San Francisco. But I couldn't make it due to various reasons. But I still managed to help with various things online, like taking care of the infrastructure part of things and all that. And then sort of EmacsConf went on hiatus for 4 years, and there was no conference from 2015 to 2019. But then at that point, I decided it would be nice to try and organize another one, bring it back, even if it's just virtually. So I started the effort on that, and Sasha Chua quickly joined in as well. And she's been kind of one of the key driving forces, if not the key driving force for that ever since. As you mentioned, over the years, we've been very fortunate and lucky to have other awesome folks like Corbin Bruce and Leo Vivier and a lot of other volunteers, Bavin and many others whose name I'm blanking on right now, to join us as well. So.
Yeah. And from what I understand, it's basically a thankless task in terms of you do a lot of involvement behind the scenes. Many people don't know about you necessarily. Some do, but largely it goes under the radar.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of the nature of I don't know, a lot of the work that we do, a lot of us in the community, it kind of immediately reminds me of this, I think, XKCD picture or meme where it shows all of the modern world infrastructure is resting on the back of two free software libraries that are completely unfunded or unknown, when some person in their spare time is doing it.
So, and I think it's true, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of us do work behind the scenes. But yeah.
And how is it, for example, to organize an EmacsConf, from the ones you were involved in? How much work should one expect to do? Of course, I'm not saying to organize it by themselves, but let's say together with 2-3 other people.
Right. Let's see. That's a great question.
Or let me put it a bit differently. What are the kinds of work you do?
Right. Yeah, there's different kinds of work. So there's, of course, sort of the infrastructure aspect of it. For us, we do care about software freedom, and for participants, both speakers and audience, to be able to watch or attend using free software without having to use any non-free things. So in that aspect, we self-host a bunch of free software. So there's some work like that, the infrastructural part. Then there's also, of course, the work of putting out announcements on the various mailing lists, like Emacs Devel and our own EmacsConf Discuss mailing list and others every year, to put out the call for participation or call for proposal. And then people, thankfully, they've been sending in their proposals. So what we do is we kind of review the proposals, but in reality, we're always very excited and happy to receive these submissions. I don't think we've turned away anyone, as far as I know or I can recall. So there's some of that work, and then there's the work of building a schedule that works for as many people as possible. Sasha has been the person who has been doing that, like arranging the talks and the tracks for like those 2 days that we usually have, Saturdays and Sundays, to make sure that the time slots work for as many people as possible. And then on the day, or like when we get close to the conference, of course, there's like one or two people usually hosting these like general and dev tracks for the conference, which kind of involves in basically being on the stream and playing, if there's a pre-recording of a talk, playing it, and then inviting the speaker to like into a chat room, or like Jitsi or Big Blue Button, for example, for the Q&A session, if there is a live Q&A and all of that, and then moving on to the next talk. And then there's like one or two other folks behind the scenes. I used to do some of this, but over the last year or two, I haven't been able to for various reasons. And it's been Sasha who's been kind of doing the whole keeping an eye on the stream to make sure that it hasn't fallen off and everything is going smoothly, and continuing to stream the desktop of someone to basically play these pre-recorded videos. So there's all kinds of like effort involved. And then there's also a whole effort for captioning videos, which I really, really love and appreciate. It's something that we do, and it's again driven by Sasha for the most part and other volunteers. When like people send in their pre-recorded talks, before and after the conference, Sasha and others start to actually caption these. Somewhat automatically, but then also like using human intervention to fill in the gaps or change wherever the automation failed to do it. There's all kinds of work for everyone.
I mean, the captioning alone is a lot of work, and then of course once you add the infrastructure work, the organizing, the tracks, and all, it's massive. It's really a lot of work.
It is. But yeah, Sasha, I think she's very well known in our community for like doing a lot of automation in a lot of these aspects. So she's managed to automate away a lot of these like tedious tasks as much as possible. Like she can press like one key and then, I don't know, the stream can switch over, and ERC, one of the IRC clients built into Emacs, it will send announcements on our channels that, hey, the next talk is coming up. So
nice.
Yeah,
of course. I totally expect Sasha to do that.
Right.
Very good. What else? Because you said that it's free software and free knowledge and all that. On the topic of free software first, what else have you been involved in? What else have you been doing?
Right. Let's see. So free software, I think kind of my first exposure and contributions was to GNU itself. I think I started volunteering as a webmaster for the GNU project back in like 2016 or so. And then from there, I kind of expanded my involvement in other areas. I became a GNU maintainer. I helped with the administration of Savannah, GNU Software Forge, which most, if not all, most GNU projects use for development. Although there are, I'm not the only one, and I'm by and large not the person doing the work these days. Corwin, who we mentioned before, has graciously been doing a lot of work and volunteering around Savannah and GNU as well. And of course, we have veteran Savannah admins and hackers like Bob Prue, who have been around for many years, and doing the work of watching over all of these systems and fighting abuse, like attacks and traffics, fighting them off, making sure that we can have as reliable of a service as possible. So there's that. And then I've also been doing some administrative type of work behind the scenes of GNU project in the maintainer's desk, which is basically in charge of communicating with the maintainers, being a point of contact with them. If maintainers have any concerns or if they want to like step down or ask for a new co-maintainer, they reach out to that. It's maintainers@gnu.org is the help desk. Yeah, and there's a bunch of other work that this team has been doing historically, and that hasn't been getting done in the recent years, unfortunately, due to being understaffed. But things have changed in the recent years, and we have been getting more members again. I myself haven't been able to be very active much at all in, like, let's say the past year or so. But I've been coming back, like I've been restarting my like free software volunteer activities as of, let's say, last month. So I'm hoping to be able to help again. Good. Yeah, and then I'm also, thank you. And then I'm also involved in other projects like Debian. I happen to be a Debian developer, so I upload packages and I maintain packages in Debian. And I also help with some downstream distributions like Dev1, which is Debian, but with init freedom, you can easily choose to use init systems other than systemd, like OpenRC or sys5 init. And also Triskel GNU Linux, which is a downstream of Ubuntu, which itself downstream of Debian. And Triskel is a wholly free distro that adheres to the GNU free software distribution guidelines or free system guidelines.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How does one get involved in Debian? Because from the outside, of course, I'm also a Debian user. That's the extent of my involvement. From the outside, it feels like you have to go through several steps. Like to just have a package, you need to understand all the specificities of the .deb format. So it's not as easy as, okay, I want to submit a patch and I just write a commit and I'm good to go, right?
Right. Yeah. Debian is very interesting because it's similar to GNU. It's such an old project. It's been around for more than 2 decades, if not 3 decades or more. And yeah, there's a lot of processes and tools that they use that are kind of outdated, especially in today's world. There is, of course, work to bring these up to date or like simplify them to make them sort of more in line with the good tools that we have now. But yeah, generally speaking, it can be kind of intimidating getting involved in Debian. But similarly, like to GNU and other like free software projects, again, Debian also needs help in a lot of areas. So yeah, packaging is one of them. Like if you have like expertise or interests in like programming or in more in the package maintenance side of things, what you can do is, like for example, go look at the package tracker pages for the pieces of software that you use yourself from Debian, and let's see, and then see like, do they have any open bugs? Are there any outstanding issues? Are there any issues that you are experiencing yourself that maybe isn't reported yet already? So you can like open these bug reports and then or tend to them existing ones, and then you can prepare a patch, send it to the bug tracker, and then if the package has a maintainer or maintainers, they will receive that and they will review your work, and then they can incorporate it into the next release of that package in Debian. But also, it's not always the case that a package has a maintainer or has been well maintained. If a package, for example, is orphaned or looking for a new maintainer, you can step up, volunteer to maintain it. And for doing that, you don't necessarily need to be a Debian maintainer or a Debian developer. You can just do your work and then have a Debian maintainer or developer, usually a Debian developer, review your work and then sponsor an upload of your changes into Debian. So there are a lot of packages maintained by people who are not members of the Debian project, as in they're not Debian developers, but they still do this valuable work of maintaining these packages, and then they just ask one of the Debian developers to review and upload the changes for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I first got involved back in the Debian project back in like 2020. I started like looking at bug reports, sending some patches, getting my patches merged. And then after working with a Debian developer for some amount of time, I asked them if they would be willing to advocate for me to become a Debian maintainer. So Debian maintainers have upload rights only for a specific, like, limited set of packages. And then after you've been a Debian maintainer for a while, if more people can advocate for you, then you can apply to become a Debian developer, at which point you can upload any package into Debian. So.
I see. But
Yeah.
it's always basically a process of consensus. It's not like there is one person that approves and now you are a maintainer, and then another person that promotes you to developer. It's basically the whole mailing list or whoever is on the team there.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So there's like interesting processes that Debian has. Like, you basically, when you feel like you're ready, or when the developer who's been sponsoring your uploads feels that you're ready, he will then open an application, for example, to become a Debian maintainer or a Debian developer. And this has different stages. And there's like an application manager who kind of oversees your progress in the application process. And like, they can ask you questions. Usually, for example, becoming a Debian maintainer is relatively easy as long as there's one Debian developer who advocates for you, and you have like some of the key fundamentals, like basic knowledge of packaging. Then that process is fairly quick and smooth. And then once you want to become a Debian developer, the process is a little bit more involved. They ask like deeper questions to make sure you really understand what you're doing, because once you're a Debian developer, technically you can make change to any package in Debian.
Yes.
So that's a lot of power and a lot of responsibility. So
yeah. So if you don't know what you are doing, you will break Debian. We don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah. Or at least like inconvenience a lot of people, because Debian, again, has a lot of processes. Like, for example, before this new release Trixie that came out, there is a long-ish, like multi-month freeze period, different kinds of freezes, like soft freeze, hard freeze, full freeze. And during each of these phases, there's only certain changes that are allowed to be made to packages, basically only minor bug fixes. So to make sure that the new release will be fully tested and stable. But if a Debian developer or maintainer ends up uploading, let's say, a 20,000 line change in the freeze period, that's not good. So things like that. That's the packaging perspective. And I'll just say this and then pass it on to you. But there's also other areas, that Debian needs help, or it has a lot of other teams, like Debian publicity team. There's like Debian translation teams who help translate various parts of packages in Debian, and just a lot more.
Yeah. Of course, it's a massive project. But what I take from this, like an easy way for somebody like me, who is a user for a few years and who could, in principle, be involved, is what you said, which is like, start with the packages you are using. Check what they are doing in terms of bugs, in terms of what the package is like, and take it from there, basically. And I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. Because with those packages, you're already using them yourself. And if you notice an issue that you're having, or you see an issue someone else is having, and you can potentially help like fix it, then of course you will get that positive feedback and satisfaction that, I was able to help do this. Just take it from there.
Yeah. So I will commit to do that myself, at least for some of the Emacs packages I have seen. So there's that.
Awesome.
Now that I
Sounds
mentioned
great.
Emacs, of course, in the context of Debian, I'm sure you know of the fact that there is a Debian resolution since, 2005 or something, where they decided that the GNU free documentation license, the invariable provision of it, the invariable parts, counts as non-free under the Debian free software guidelines. And so the Emacs documentation is not part of the free Debian distribution.
Right.
What
Yeah,
can we do to change this?
right. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've been aware of that, and it's not just Emacs documentation, but
I
also
know.
any documentation that's under the GFDL that happens to have like an invariant section or a front cover. Yeah, that's considered non-free by Debian, and I can kind of see where they're coming from, I guess. But yeah, I think, yeah, maybe it's not ideal. I think like these sort of large, like sweeping changes or decisions, of course, no one developer can like meaningfully make any change, at least not in the short term. But if there is interest, developers or just people can start discussions on various mailing lists and see, if other people agree or if there's agreement. And then maybe go from there, like take the next steps. Like first of all, see, okay, like what percentage of Debian developers, because at the end of the day, the Debian developers are the ones who get to like cast a vote officially, think that maybe this is an issue or that it could be improved, and then work towards either achieving a consensus or taking a formal vote, basically, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Like a few years ago, I was not hopeful that this would ever be resolved for the reasons you outlined. It's basically very hard to make these sorts of changes, and you have to campaign for them. So yeah, good luck with that. But recently, there was a development in Debian which I thought holds promise, which is the disaggregation of what non-free is. Before, there was the non-free repo, and then they introduced non-free firmware.
Right.
For the convenience of installing Debian. But then I was like, okay, maybe there could be a non-free documentation. And so when I opt into the non-free docs repo, I don't also opt into non-free software. So I understand that basically it's this technicality I'm dealing with.
Right. Yeah, I think that could be interesting. That could potentially be nice to have. For people to be able to opt in very easily just into these documentations that Debian considers non-free. That may well be a possibility. I don't know if there's been any discussion about it yet. If not, you're welcome to maybe try starting one.
First, I will become a maintainer. The Trojan horse, I'm telling it here publicly. First a maintainer, then a developer, then a dictator to impose the free license. Of course, I'm kidding.
Right. Yeah. We're being playful and joking, but yeah, that's actually, I think, like one of the how do you call it, like incentives, I guess, for folks to get involved is if you want to see something change or if you want to have a formal voice, and being able to like literally cast a vote towards something, then yeah, if you're willing and able to get involved and work your way up to like becoming a Debian developer, who are like official members of the project who can vote, then of course you get to like put these matters to discussion and vote and cast your own vote as well. So yeah.
Okay, good. How is it with the GNU project in this regard? Because you mentioned earlier, like you volunteered for the web mastering part. Like okay, say I want to volunteer for some part of GNU. Like who do I call? Who do I contact? How does this work?
Right. Yeah. So GNU is like similar to Debian in its like longevity and being around forever. And similarly, it also has like little like silos or groups or teams of people who work on different parts. Like for example, there's the webmasters team that you mentioned, and these are the folks who generally oversee and maintain the www.gnu.org web pages. And for example, there are Savannah hackers or /admins who oversee and maintain the Savannah Forge and all of its associated systems, like the front end, the mailing list, all that. Yeah, it kind of depends on like what area you want to get involved in. But of course, there's also GNU packages. I think there are 400 something GNU packages at the moment. And each of these have one or more people maintaining them, or some of them may be orphaned. So depending on what your interest is, you can try, for example, posting on a package's mailing list if you want to get involved with a package specifically. If you want to, for example, become a webmaster and help with that, I believe there's at least one page on GNU.org on how to become a webmaster. At least when I first got involved, there's this so-called quiz. There's like a process where they basically assess your knowledge of, like, for example, webmastering things and basic things like HTML and CSS to see if you're able to do like the kinds of tasks that need doing or that team does on a regular basis. And then after some point, you will be added to the team as like a full member. It really kind of depends. I think there's also like at least one or two email addresses or mailing lists for this general like inquiry of, hey, I'm interested, but I'm not sure how to help or where to help. I'm blanking on the name right now. I think that it's called GVC, maybe GNU Volunteer Coordinators or something like that. That's one potential avenue for asking for help. But in your case specifically, if you're interested, because I happen to have like
friend, you know?
Okay. Another way would be to like email someone like similar to me who's involved in a lot of these areas, or who can at least have some idea of who to ask in terms of what you can help with. And then I'll, for example, I'd be happy to put you in touch with whoever the person or the persons are, the people are, who are involved in that specific area that you're interested in. So yeah, I'm happy to help if I can.
I see. Okay, I understand. But basically, it's I would say similar to what the Debian is doing in that you find an area that is of immediate interest to you. From there, you try to find the sources and you contact the people. And basically, what you said now at the end is like, of course, it's a community of people with different skills, different interests. It has been around for decades. But at the end of the day, it's just regular people, and you talk to actual people, and it's not like some bureaucracy far away, and you never are in contact with a real person.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. It's just, it can be a little like intimidating or confusing as to like who I reach out to, depending on like some of these teams. Like, for example, the one I mentioned, like maintainers at GNU.org, it's very much behind the scenes, like normal everyday users or even fans of GNU project may not necessarily know about it, and who, what it does, let alone who is there, like who can I reach out to. But yeah, in general, if there is like a mailing list, you're welcome to like send an email to it and express your interest. In like these other cases, if there are persons publicly known to be like members of certain teams, you can of course try emailing them as well and asking like, hey, like what's the kind of work that you do as a member of this team, or are you looking for additional help, or like how can I potentially like help and like join the team and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay, good. I remember when I first got involved in Emacs, and shortly after I started using Emacs, I got on the mailing list. And at the beginning, it felt really strange to be on a mailing list. Like, I didn't know what to expect. How does this thing even work, mailing lists? Of course, the way it works is you just send a regular email. Like, and people just receive a regular email. But for me, it was like something. There has to be some magic here. I don't understand it. And then eventually, I realized that it's just regular emails to regular people. Don't overthink it, and we are in this together. Like, we all want to have a better program or a better community, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can be kind of strange if one has never done anything similar to this or been involved in like projects that do this. But yeah, the concept of a mailing list, there's just like one email address that you send emails to, and then there's a mail server sitting there who gets all of these incoming emails, and then it fans it out, it sends it out to the subscribers of each of these addresses. Like, for example, Emacs Devel, any email sent to it will be also sent to all the people who subscribe to receive emails from that list. And yeah, that's kind of the main avenue for discussion for a lot of these GNU packages and other free software projects, for example, including Debian. Yeah, and then you just talk to people with this in mind that a lot of these mailing lists are public. So yeah, that's maybe kind of an incentive to be nice, like just generally be nice and kind to others and treat them like how you would like to be treated, which is, I think, that the golden rule, like in life in general. Yeah, and as you said, it's a community of people with a shared interest trying to make their lives or the society better through like some specific means, for example, through Emacs, free software. So, yeah.
Yeah, good. I believe I've seen at some point you have an @gnu.org email. Maybe if not you, maybe somebody. Of course, there are many others who have. Like, is that something you get in the process of going up in terms of responsibilities, like up the hierarchy? So, how does that work?
Right. So I think kind of historically, it was, I guess, easier, if you will, to get this @gnu.org email address, and anyone who like helped or volunteered with GNU would get them. I feel like in the recent years, by necessity of just what the landscape looks like on the modern web or on the internet right now, they've like had to like tighten that down a little bit more. But yeah, so at the moment, GNU maintainers, like anyone who maintains a GNU package, gets an account on a machine that corresponds to having one of these @gnu.org email addresses. I believe GNU webmasters also have one. I think that's how I first got my GNU.org account. But yeah, basically, depending on your involvement and volunteer activities and showing like some interest and longevity and making some contributions after some point, yeah, you can either have one or at the very least get an @gnu.org email alias. So people can send you email at that address, and then it'll automatically be forwarded to some other email address that you have. So yeah, that's a possibility for people who volunteer with the GNU project.
Okay, that's also a good incentive to have, because it's something easy, like somebody who wants to update their CV or whatever. It's also something easy to show, like, here is also my involvement in this community. Like, it's very easy to show because it's not something that everybody can get. Not to say that it's the only thing you want to show, of course, but yeah, something quick, something that catches the attention.
Right. Yeah. It's. I think it could be a nice incentive. As a nice thing to have. As you said, maybe you can put it on your CV or just use it in your communication with other people. Yeah. Of course, generally speaking, that shouldn't be like the end goal.
No, of course not.
But yes. Yeah.
But it's a nice side effect or bonus of your involvement anyway. Earlier, you mentioned something about the GNU webmasters, or the Savannah hackers, I think, which was like part of the work they do about abuse. I think you mentioned the word abuse, and I think I read a while ago a report from the FSF or the GNU project, I'm not sure, regarding AI scrapers basically spamming your servers the whole time. Is this kind of the abuse we are talking about, or is it something else, or is there more?
Right. Yeah, that's that's very much one of the kinds of abuse. I think it's actually already been a year now since last August or last September. A lot of these AI scrapers really, really ramped up the traffic that they send just to any, I guess, server that's reachable on the internet. And it's not specific to the GNU project, of course. A lot of other free software projects have also been suffering from this. Yeah, but in the case of GNU, there's also been before this, there's been just directed attacks at the GNU project, like someone with a botnet of, let's say, I don't know, 2 million machines or more, constantly hammering one of these servers, which basically is a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack, causing service degradation or just unavailability for a while. So Savannah hackers and volunteers, together with the FSF sysadmins, who at the moment, there are two of them, Ian and Michael, they watch over these machines and try to fight off these attacks in various ways, depending on the severity and the magnitude. But it's unfortunately not just free software or not just GNU project who's been suffering. Like, I self-host a little Git server for myself, which historically has run cgit, which is a little CGI application written in C, and it shows a front end of the repositories hosted on that server. And a couple of weeks ago, I actually had to take that offline because of the volume of abuse that it was receiving. It was impacting like other services, for example, my mail server, also running on that virtual machine. So yeah, it's been nonstop kind of for a while. It's not great.
Basically, my layperson's understanding of this is that it becomes ever more expensive for the little guy to have their own presence on the web, basically. Like, as it goes by, you need to rely on ever more sophisticated / expensive infrastructure.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Like a lot of these, I don't know, projects or companies that do these kinds of like mindless scraping are basically externalizing their own costs onto whoever else is out there, including free software projects and their community members, who a lot of the times just don't have the resources, whether it's the financial or the time needed to constantly watch over. For example, for Savannah and GNU, I haven't been closely involved in these mitigations, but I know the collective of these individuals, like Bob Corwin and Ian and Michael and others, have spent like countless, probably more than hundreds of hours trying to like fight off this like abusive traffic and keep the server functional so that the hundreds of GNU packages and the thousands or millions of users who actually fetch things from the Savannah Git server can continue to, do so. It's been a challenge, and a lot of the times, as we said, it's either very small teams of like staff at foundations like the FSF or like their volunteers who are not paid at all, who are left to deal with mess and like try to clean it up. And of course, on a personal level, like for myself, I have a day job at the moment and other like things in life. I can't afford to like spend like tens of hours trying to like get a stable like server up and running or like throw money at it because I don't have the kind of resources. So and I think it's just not good overall. And for myself, it's been what the effect is pushing me to avoid hosting or running anything that's interactive or dynamic and just make everything into static pages. I know there are solutions to do that, for example, for a Git forge that statically generate pages for like commits or whatever in a post receive hook when you push your commits to your server. But I just haven't had the time to look into setting that up. So it's unfortunate. It's exactly as you said. A lot of these actors just externalize all of these costs onto other projects and communities, and a lot of sysadmins around our community have been very annoyed and under pressure from GNU and Savannah, also to SourceHut, for example. They've also had to deal with their fair share of things, and one of their main staff, Drew DeVault, also wrote a blog post asking these companies to like basically stop externalizing these costs onto free software projects and communities, of course, to no avail, but we'll see, I guess.
Wow. Other than those companies, which of course we can say they are malicious in that they know they are externalizing their costs, but I want to ask about this botnet that you mentioned, like 2 million, I think you said. That sounds huge. Maybe I don't know enough, so maybe it's not that big. But are we talking about state actors here? Are we talking about mega corporations? What kind of actor commands that kind of botnet?
Right. I feel like it's the Wild West. Like anything goes. It could be state actors. I'm not entirely sure. It could also be corporations, but also I feel like it could also be just someone with some resources, some money to throw away, because on the internet there are also, like, I don't know, shady parts where they sell access to compromised machines, which basically effectively act as a botnet. So yeah, you can probably pay some amount of money, and then you get access to these, and then you can direct them however many, probably proportionate to how much money you pay, to like direct traffic to whatever your victim or your target is. So yeah, there's that as well.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, good to know. Yeah, it's unfortunate that we basically cannot have good things, and for them to leave us alone. I mean, we don't bother them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would be nice if we as humans would stop doing this to ourselves. But yeah, I guess that's just how it is. Like, yeah, with these attacks, and of course, going back, the whole issue of spam in emails. Initially, when internet and email came out, there was no such thing. But then as it got traction and more people started using it in the general public, then of course came the abuse as well. And all the like anti-spam measures, some of which have been good, but some of which have really hurt, I guess, the whole landscape of like self-hosting email. I think this is something that you've briefly looked at, and anyone who's looked at this knows that there's always deliverability issues. If you're looking to like self-host your own email, you kind of have to be like on top of things, and sometimes these large actors and silos, like, I don't know, Google, Microsoft, whoever, end up rejecting your email falsely, as like spam or whatever. And if you want to self-host, you have to like fight that uphill battle. Like, it's not great.
Yeah. And then, of course, what they are saying between the lines, well, of course, you could just switch to our service.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
And
this,
things
again, this
just
whole
work.
thing of, yeah, exactly. It's just, again, this whole thing of driving out the smaller, like, people, or the groups of people, let's say a community of a size of 1, 2, 5, 10, even 100, I guess, just making it more and more difficult and infeasible for them to self-host these pieces of infrastructure so that they can maintain control over it and externalize it and end up paying these other large silos.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And then basically they kind of enclose the open protocols, the open standards. They kind of turn them into proprietary, because in practice, even though
Exactly.
it's federated and all that, in practice, if you cannot have your own server, what is federated? I mean, the three companies between them. Okay, what? But yeah. Anyway,
Exactly.
let's change topic, because you mentioned that you started volunteering again like 1 month ago, and you also mentioned that you work for the Internet Archive, and part of your volunteering work, since you resumed activities, is to help sync my publications, which have a video, to sync them on the Internet Archive. So tell me a little bit about that, but then generally about the Internet Archive and kind of what it is, what you do, and why we should care, why it matters, what's the bigger idea.
Right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I went through a bit of a rough patch since last year, and I ended up basically not having any time or energy for any of these volunteer activities for a long time. But then, luckily, I think I'm in a better place now, so I've been able to like slowly resume them, as we mentioned, like kind of like starting to ramp them up gradually since last month. And yeah, in this specific case of like your videos, I enjoy watching your videos, no matter like if it's like the Emacs stuff, the philosophy, following your progress on your hot project and all of that. Yeah, and so I have to watch them through YouTube, and unfortunately, YouTube has been making it like more and more difficult to try and watch these videos without using their website, which serves non-free JavaScript. So, we use tools like YTDLP and MPV to watch these, and it's a bit of a game of whack-a-mole. Like YouTube updates their front end and makes it harder to like watch the videos, and then these projects play catch up and like make it possible to watch videos. Yeah, so I got a little bit tired of playing that game, and I was wondering, okay, what can I do to like change or help this situation for myself and like maybe other folks who like maybe think similarly. And yeah, it just so happens that I started working at the Internet Archive earlier this year, and yeah, the Internet Archive is basically a digital library or repository of material. We host a lot of like videos, music, software. Of course, they're very well known for the Wayback Machine, web.archive.org, which saves snapshots of web pages, which has been very helpful, for example, for everyday people, but also like researchers looking to find out about what this web page said at a particular point in time. Yeah, which is has been very important, I feel like, especially this year with the current administration in the US and all of the drastic changes that they've been making on the government websites, to say the least. Yeah, but yeah, the Internet Archive is basically a digital library and repository. So yeah, for your videos, I was thinking, okay, how can I potentially mirror Prot's videos to the Internet Archive? And yeah, thankfully you publish the repository for the sources of your website publicly. So I cloned the Git repo and had a look at like the directory structure and had a look at some of your URL structures for your posts, and started writing a program. Initially, I was using Shell, but then I switched to Python to basically walk through your website sources, look for markdown files, and see if they have this media ID tag, if they have an associated video with them, and then use YouTube DLP, like YTDLP, to download that video to the machine and like rename it, do whatever is necessary, and then use the Internet Archive's Python package. They have a little Python package that interacts with the Internet Archive API and lets you like upload things or download things to the Internet Archive. And then I just used that as a library to upload each of these videos one by one to the Internet Archive. And then I had a collection made for them, which is Protocillas-videos. And yeah, people can, myself and others can go there and watch your videos from there. Yeah, and so I did the bulk of work like a month or so ago, and right now all I do is when I see there's a new video on your website, I just pull your website sources again, like with a git pull, and then run my script again, and it'll notice that, oh, there's this one new video, and it just downloads it and uploads it to the Internet Archive. So.
Yeah, that's very good, very good. And thank you for that, of course. And we
You're
can
welcome.
include links to this and everything else, by the way, in the description.
Sure.
How is the Internet Archive working in terms of the infrastructure? Because, of course, there is stuff like what you just described, and I am just one of millions of websites. And there's also the snapshots of the web and all that. It sounds like a massive project. How does it work? How is it organized? What are we dealing with here?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. I will say I'm not very familiar with all of these different parts of it, especially because I'm not involved in the operational aspects of things very much. But the Internet Archive has several data centers, or at least rents like space in several data centers around the world. I believe there's at least 2 in the US, 1 in Canada, maybe 1 in Europe as well, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they host, they have like large-ish machines that they put there. I mean, in terms of disk space and CPU and memory. And each of these run tens or maybe more virtual machines or subnodes, and yeah, they both like store data and do whatever processing that's needed. It's a very interesting architecture, and I'm not very familiar with it, so I don't want to like say anything that's not factually true. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing. We have like hundreds of petabytes of data that's like distributed across these, and I believe we keep 2 copies at least of each, let's say, item or thing that's uploaded to the Internet Archive. So a lot of these machines act as data nodes, which store like these data on them, but they also do processing. For example, let's say if I upload a video, if it's in a codec that the Internet Archive thinks it's not widely recognized or playable, it will automatically do some encoding to like H.264 or WebM or one of these very like commonly available codecs so that everyone can more easily use and watch, including in the browser when they go to the Internet Archive website. Yeah, there's a lot of processing done on these items. In my corner of it, we work on the search system, which powers a lot of things and lets you like surface information and retrieve data about like all of these items that we're hosting. Because in a lot of ways, because it's such a huge scale of billions of items or even more, it's not always feasible to like, let's say, have a pre-made index of everything you want. So there are inherently some pieces of data that you can only get or compute through search. So search is a really important part of the archive. And then, yeah, for the Wayback Machine, I'm not closely involved, but I imagine they have their own set of servers and machines that they have bots that go and crawl web pages, especially when people request to save a page by going to web.archive.org/save, the Save Page Now service. So yeah, they have their own set of things. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important also from, let's say, a big picture cultural view of the digital era. Because like we have a certain way of dealing with our works nowadays, like our writings, our videos, everything, which is like, well, it's just throwaway. Like I publish it now, then I delete my account, whatever, on whatever platform, off, and then all my publications just disappear like that.
Right.
And basically we can make cultural works just inaccessible to future people, future generations. And I think what you are doing there is kind of a preservation work of all of human creativity, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and actually there's a series on the Internet Archive blog called The Vanishing Culture, and where exactly they talk about different aspects of this and how different parts of our culture are kind of vanishing. Because the web is very interesting, or the internet, like it has this duality where we say, oh, once something is out on the web, then it's going to be public forever. And that's kind of true. Like once something is like digitized and put there, it could very well be around forever. But also it's very fragile, as you said. Like if, you know, someone stops maintaining the server, or if lets the domain expire, then all of those links and material are just, easily gone, vanished forever. So it's very important to have organizations and groups of folks who are trying to preserve these, especially when it comes to like our culture, as you mentioned. So it's very, very valuable work. And I'm glad that, you know, there is someone doing it. And of course, I'm not taking credit for any of it. Like I joined very recently. I'm only a tiny part of this, but I think it's very important for us to have organizations like the Internet Archive who try to like preserve our culture as much as possible.
Are there any state actors or international organizations that in one way or another help the Internet Archive? Is there something like that, or is it purely driven by individuals?
Right. So I believe the Internet Archive is like an independent, like nonprofit organization. So it makes its own decisions and whatever. It's like controlled by itself. But that said, they collaborate a lot with other entities, whether it be like academic institutions, like various universities, or even like state or local governments, to like preserve their documents. The Internet Archive has been doing a lot of efforts in, for example, digitizing and preserving local state governments, like Government of California, for example, getting their documents, digitizing them, and making them publicly available. So there are these sorts of collaborations with various government structures, both in the US and abroad, I believe, and also with different universities, again, in US and abroad, and also just other organizations or companies, I imagine, though I myself am not closely like familiar with all of those efforts, but it's not really a one-man thing. It's very much like collaboration with others.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because it's the scale is so big, which I imagine there are all these different players involved, state and non-state level.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because
and there are
otherwise,
different.
no amount of volunteering or private actors would be enough, I think, unless it's like some mega corporation. But then, of course, you are not for profit, so.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting, and I feel like, as I said, like the Internet Archive, like it runs itself. Like the staff or people who run it are employees of the Internet Archive, but at the same time, it's not a huge like team. It's relatively small. Speaking. It's tiny compared to like some of these mega corporations, of course, but it's still amazing and impressive to see how much a relatively small group of people accomplishes and what it can do when they put their mind onto doing something. I will say that there are a lot of brilliant people who work at the Internet Archive, and I'm just very humbled and happy to just being able to like join them and do a tiny part if I can to like help with things. So.
Yeah, and thank you for that, and of course everybody involved, because like me as a regular internet user, I benefit from the Internet Archive without even realizing it. Like I will search for a book or something, and then eventually I find it there. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Or something that should have been online, which is not online anymore, and you find it. And I'm like, yeah, without this, what would I be doing now? Nothing useful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful resource to have, both like the various like books and like old paraphernalia that they host, but also in terms of the Wayback Machine. I myself have been using it extensively, even long before I became an employee here. I gave a talk at LibrePlanet like 3 years ago, maybe. And in that talk, I had a lot of mentions to the Wayback Machine, and yeah, it's a great resource to be able to like look at web pages like all the way back to the mid to late 90s, and see kind of how they evolved or how they changed. It's a great resource.
Yeah. Very good. Let's. Is there anything else about the Internet Archive? Because then I want to switch topics.
Right. Nothing specifically I can think of, except that, as always, like, it's a nonprofit organization. So I will say that, if anyone is like, willing and able to donate, of course, please feel free to do so. They have various fundraisers. They have a large event coming up in October celebrating 1 trillion archived web pages. It's a massive milestone of
That's
like
a huge
just
number.
right. Yeah. Like sharing like the things that we've shared, like humanity as a whole, to get to this point on the web. So there is that.
What is this event actually? So is it a conference? Is it like what exactly are we talking about here?
It's a little. It's a celebration, maybe kind of like a conference, but it's like has different elements, I guess. There's going to be like speakers and talks, and like maybe a little like party of gathering of people. It's the in-person component. It's going to be primarily in San Francisco for people who can make it in the US. But there's also an online element as well, and there's going to be live stream as well. So for folks even like myself who can't or aren't able to or don't want to attend in person physically, they can also participate online. I don't know all of the details, but I know that there is that coming up. It's going to be in October, and if you go to the Internet Archive, the main website or the blog, you will find links about this celebration. I can also dig around and give a link that you can later add to the description if you like.
Yeah, if you have it available, sure. I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I will say that I'm here purely on my own initiative. I'm not speaking for the Internet Archive or my employer in any means. I'm just here in a personal capacity.
Yes. Thank you. One thing about the event being in San Francisco, because you also mentioned earlier about the EmacsConf being in person at some point. I'm right. On the one hand, that's great. On the other hand, San Francisco in particular is an expensive place. So even if somebody from another part of the globe would want to join, that's a really tough sell, and it's hard to actually make it.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. And there's going to be the cost of travel, likely air travel if you're coming from Europe, even staying there. I don't know about the Internet Archive, but I believe the FSF did something at some point where for their events, folks who are so generous, they could donate some additional amount that would cover the cost of let's say staying or reimburse for people who wanted to attend. I don't know if the Internet Archive is doing this or not, but I guess that's one idea that some of these nonprofit organizations do for people who would like to attend, but for any reason they don't have the financial means at the moment or whatever. Sometimes there's option of help available. I don't know if that's the case, but it is true getting there physically. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, because in my experience, the real added value of a conference, a physical in-person conference, is the fact that you get to meet the people. And of course, we have video calls, kind of what we do now, and that's still very good. But it's not the same as meeting the other person in the flesh. And I think there is an upside to that kind of networking, and I think it invigorates the given community. So thinking, for example, in the case of Emacs, being in a place with, let's say, 10 other people that you have been in contact with through mailing lists and whatnot, that's a unique opportunity. How frequently would that happen? I mean, that's a once in a lifetime event, basically.
Right. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, it's great when it can happen to gather in physical spaces. It also highlights, I guess, the need for these virtual events, as we were saying, just talking like this, even you're in Europe, I'm in North America and Canada, I don't think we can meet up in person physically anytime soon, but we get to easily talk to each other at the very least. Events that do have an online component or virtual component are great in that regard. But still the in-person is also great. For example, I know that our work with EmacsConf inspired a whole lot of local meetups to happen for Emacs, or continue or invigorate them to pick it back up again. I don't know, Emacs Berlin, there was one in Paris, one APAC for Asia Pacific, East Asia. It's great to be able to gather physically whenever possible.
Yeah. That's very nice. And the next topic I wanted to talk about, of course, you just mentioned it, is the fact that you live in Canada. And of course, there are all these changes happening in your neighbor to the south, the United States. Has this, the political side, I don't want to go into the politics, but has it affected life in Canada in any major way? From the everyday life, I mean, not what politicians do, because of course they always find reasons to justify their presence, right? So vote for me because I am against that guy,
Right. That's a great question. I feel at least to me, there haven't been any drastic huge changes here up here in Canada. Of course, we had elections earlier this year, and I feel like once like a lot of people saw what happened in the US, they kind of came to their senses maybe in a way and like voted differently. So in a way, maybe we dodged a bullet there, and they I think what happened in the US kind of changed the course of the elections here in a good way, I believe. So there was that. Of course, there's the whole thing with tariffs, and I don't know, I feel like just everything is, I don't know, getting more expensive. I myself don't really follow news or politics much at all. So I'm not, very much in the know about all of these developments, but I can say that I noticed like things getting expensive, grocery shopping or whatever. So
Yeah.
there's not so great aspects like that.
And how is life in Canada in general? Like from a European's perspective, like everybody in Europe has a high view of Canada. Like we understand Canada as a place that is tolerant, progressive, good life, decent life, generally speaking, and things sort of work. Like it's a place that you would want to be a resident of. Is
Right.
this how it is, or do we have like a fairy tale understanding of it?
Right. I think that's kind of fair to say. Of course, there's always like nuance and minutia and all of the details that we can get involved in. But I mean, yeah, I can't deny that as of now, I feel like Canada is a much better place to be in compared to our neighbor down south. So there is that. Yeah, there is a very strong multicultural element, and when you walk around, especially in cities, and you look around you, and there's people of all walks of life, different kind of backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, whatever, just gathering together, being a community. So that's nice. Yeah, life is okay here. It goes by one day at a time. Yeah, I used to live, or my family and I used to live closer to Toronto, like the suburbs, for many years. But in the last couple of years, we came further up north, to a smaller town. Still not too far from Toronto, let's say within 60 kilometers, 50, 60 kilometers. Southern Ontario still. Yeah, and it's nice here. Like there's a lot more greenery, which I love to see, because that's something that's not, very prevalent or common, I guess, in downtown or like suburbs closer to it. There are a lot of nice parks here that, we can go and take a walk in or bike. So it's nice.
Yeah. Of course, you now describing the nature, because me personally, of course, I'm really biased in this regard. I don't care about city life really, but you telling me there are parks, nature, blah blah blah. I'm already imagining those pristine environments, those clear waters, those verdant forests that you have over there, and
yeah,
it must be amazing.
yeah,
I don't know about the
beautiful.
wildlife though. I don't know. Do you see any wildlife? Do you have bears or moose, or I don't know what kind of wildlife you have there?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have those. We see those even like here, which is still not very rural. Yeah, we do see like beavers, for example, in like ponds. I see like rabbits and hares regularly here on the streets, like around us. Like we see raccoons. Yeah, and if you like travel like an hour or two up north, we have a lot of nice provincial parks that have sort of that pristine like nature. People go camping in, and yeah, there's bears can come up close. That's basically where they live. When you're sleeping at night, you can hear like moose calls or like early morning.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's beautiful. We have some beautiful scenery here, and yeah, my partner and I actually love to go like camping in the summers or early fall. We just take a tent and we go there and we stay for a couple of nights, and we do hiking, but more like walking, because Ontario is kind of flat, especially compared to Europe. We don't have all of those beautiful large mountains here.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, it's nice. We have nice provincial parks here. That it's a nice getaway from just everyday life into like nature.
And how is camping there? Here in Cyprus, when they say camping, what they mean is to go to an area that is designated for this purpose. And basically, they have facilities there and you kind of stay there. So it's not like you take your tent and you pitch a tent in the middle of nowhere and you do camping. It's not that. So
Right.
how is it in your place? Can you just go anywhere and set up tent?
Right. I feel like it's a little similar to what you were just describing, where we have these provincial parks that I believe the local government of Ontario like maintains with their like staff, and yeah, they have designated areas and campsites and campgrounds where you can like drive with your car, because it's kind of far. Like some of these campgrounds or provincial parks we drive like 3 hours to get there. Yeah, and then there are like campsites where you can just set up a tent there. A lot of these parks have so-called backcountry, I believe, backcountry camping, where there's lakes. So what you do is you put your stuff in a canoe or like small boat or whatever, and then you paddle. You go to like down the river or something. Yeah, very far from like civilization or other people. If you want, you can camp there, set up tent in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, depending on the kind of land, I guess we have so-called crown land, which is just public land, like government owned land. And I believe you can go and set up like tents there if you want. So that's an option. But yeah, for the most part, people go to these different provincial parks and camp there.
Yeah, which of course makes sense also from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
Like unless you are like a survivalist or whatever, Johnny Rambo style person, and you kind of know what you are doing. You want to go where the others are. I mean, it's safer. Yeah. You don't want to be woken up by a bear in the middle of the night.
Right. Yeah, even though that remains a possibility, even at these campsites, that's why they say it's very important to bear-proof your campsite. Like when you're about to sleep at the end of the day, don't leave out any food, any like garbage that has like any smell, because even in these provincial parks, bears live there like in the area and they could come in, and they do come in sometimes, even though it's not very common. So yeah, they say that really like try to like put away anything that has any kind of like food smell away before you like sleep at night. And yeah, especially people who go backcountry camping, I believe they do things like they have something where you can hang your like bag with food up between like two trees in the middle somewhere that's like the bear can't easily like reach or whatever. So yeah, there's fun stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. And I imagine these sorts of activities are summer activities, right? So you wouldn't be doing this from October onwards, I guess.
Right. Yeah, for the most part, because we still do get a good amount of snow in the winters, and it's challenging to do all of that. And especially, I guess, out of the city up north, it gets pretty cold, like, I don't know, negative 20 something Celsius, or maybe even less, like negative 30 something. So yeah, that's kind of challenging to like camp out and like stay there. I think some people still do it. They go like fishing on like frozen lakes and they dig a hole on the surface and they fish and they sleep in the area. But yeah, I imagine you need specialized gear to like survive in that cold temperature.
Yeah, of course. I've only seen something like that in Europe, I think in Finland or thereabouts, where people will just I think they drill what they do. Basically, in a lake, they drill a hole in a lake, and then they just hang out there. And I don't know, they make business plans. I have no idea what they are doing. But it seems to work. Like they have a lot of fun. Of course, they are just showing off. Like, yeah, look at me. I'm a Finnish person, and I can withstand the cold. Like, if I go there, I'm finished.
Finished.
Finished. Like,
yeah, it's great. Yeah, we have fun stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. And yeah, I think there's like also like elements of like I'm blanking on the name, log cabins. Either those that people own themselves, or like there are like folks who own a couple of them and rent them. Those you can go stay in winter. I imagine it's great. Like it's very cozy out in the nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, with like snow everywhere, and you're in a log cabin and you like burn a piece of wood, like firewood, to like heat you up. I love to do that at some point. It's kind of like a dream of mine to maybe own a little piece of land up north at some point in life, and have maybe build a log cabin for myself, tiny, and go there at least some of the time in winters. So yeah.
Yeah, and of course, if there is woodland, like you have also a source for energy, like for fire in that case.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course. Plus, I imagine all the things you can live off in the forest, assuming it's accessible. Yeah.
Right.
How is life in Canada with regard to the Quebec parts? Like, is it like do you feel like there is kind of two parallel worlds under one roof, or is it like one country and you don't really notice much of a difference? Like, have you ever been to those parts?
Yeah, I've been to Quebec a couple of times. So right now I live closer to Toronto, but when we first came to Canada, we lived in Ottawa, which is very close to Quebec. Like there's this river, and on the other side of it, there's Gatineau, which is in Quebec. And I've also been to Montreal and Quebec City. It's nice. Like in some ways, it's more of the same. Like it's Canada, it's the same country, but yeah, in some other aspects, it is kind of different. Of course, they speak French there primarily. Of course, in the like modern times, like they learn English as well, obviously. And if you go there, if you don't speak French, you can still get by. And people are, for the most part, nice. Even if you don't speak the language, like they're still willing to like humor you in English. It can be, I guess, different, a little different. Like I don't know, some part of Montreal that I went to, I had like flashbacks or feelings of it being a little close to back home, like Iran, Tehran, where I'm originally from. Just like the way that the streets are, or just the vibe that I got. It was a little like similar to Tehran, Iran. It was something that I hadn't really felt in Ottawa or like in Toronto or any of its suburbs. So it's like, yeah, different in some aspects, but yeah, it's more of the same, I would say.
And can you describe that sense of déjà vu, to also use a French phrase there?
Right.
Because, of course, Quebec has the cultural background of the French people, France. So from somebody coming from Tehran, what is it that you feel that is similar or common, perhaps?
Right.
Because there is no obvious thread connecting the two.
Yeah, very much. And yeah, I don't know how come I got that feeling, but I think maybe it has to do with just like some of the architecture of like the style of the buildings, how it looked, and also the like alleyways and streets. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just, yeah, something that gave me a little like flashback, deja vu to the days where I used to live in Tehran. And I will say that I feel like there is like a connection between the French and the Iranians, because of course, going back, I don't know, 100 something years ago, there was like trade or, interaction between these two countries. A lot of Iranians went to like France to like study or whatever, live there. And then in return, there were but bunch of French folks who came to Iran and stayed there. And there was a lot of like exchange of words and culture. Like we use a bunch of words. For example, the word that we have for elevator is the French word ascenseur. Yeah, we just say ascenseur with our own accent, and other words. So, and a lot of, again, other words like, I don't know, foundation, fondation, that's also our general way, or even like the way we teach chemistry. The names that we use are like the French style of pronouncing these like elements and their, how do you call it? Like molecules. So yeah, there is a cultural connection, and I felt like in some ways maybe the culture is closer between like the French folks in Quebec and versus the other, I guess, more European or other parts of Europe, the English-speaking parts that I've encountered here in Ontario, for example. So there is that.
Okay. That's very interesting. Yeah. I would be curious to visit the various places and get a feel for it myself. Like the places I've been to in Europe, like I've been to France as well. France, of course, has many picturesque towns, cities, villages, the countryside, of course, with all the farms and stuff. They are famous for their farmers. Very picturesque. And I would say there are places that you see and you're like, yeah, I'm definitely in France.
Right.
So you get that feeling that here you are clearly within the borders of France. Whereas in other parts, so in Brussels, for example, every neighborhood has a slightly different style of architecture. You can still say that you are in Western Europe, but depending on where you are, you get a slightly different vibe to it.
Right.
And of course, there is a charm, but I think it's a different kind of charm.
Right.
So yeah, very nice as well.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm kind of ignorant about Europe just because I haven't been able to travel much there, and like I haven't lived there, of course. And the travels that I've had primarily were work travels. I didn't get to do too much exploring. Like, yeah, I visited Prague, Czech Republic, and also Latvia. Blanking on the name of the capital.
Riga. In
Riga, right. Yeah, I visited Riga as well, and I've also been like briefly to Germany and like France, like that part of the border, and Switzerland. Switzerland was nice, but yeah, I'm largely ignorant about Europe. I would love to learn more, and of course, I know that with like, I don't know, a 1 week or 1 month visit, one can't really learn too much. I'm also the type, I think maybe we discussed this on our last talk, like I want to like go deeper than just the surface, like touristy level. Like I want to see how like the locals are living there. So I think, one would need to have a little bit more time to spend there.
Yeah, of course. And the other thing is that nowadays culture is kind of optimizing around the idea of basically giving you a theme park view of the country. So it's kind of, let's find all the stereotypes, all the things that are unambiguously unique to our culture, and let's exaggerate those and give people, like if you go to Germany, let's find the most German thing you can see, and it's all you will see, right? And of course it's over the top, it's no longer real. And yeah, of course, you need to go past that surface level touristy trap kind of thing to get the real experience, which is not that easy.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, it's exactly that. And I caught the reference to your recent blog post from yesterday when your country is a theme park. So
yeah, I wasn't too happy about that because what happened, what triggered, I wouldn't have written it, but what triggered me is that there was actually an event where somebody was like, hey, why are you... I was walking past one of the streets that I walk through frequently, and they were organizing this wedding, and somebody there, some security guy, whatever, was like, why are you here? We are having a wedding. You're not allowed to be here. And yeah, I won't say what I said, but I wasn't nice. Like, right. If you think you are a tough guy, yeah, don't do that when you don't know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think maybe he regretted it after.
Yeah, so yeah, the point is that we want to go deeper and experience the people. And for me, that frequently means also, and that's why I'm not really into cities, it also means going away from the city to the countryside and trying to see the country, how it is there. But of course, it's not that easy, so I know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like, that people are the main theme. Like, like people, community. That's kind of, I guess, the focus or importance, or the focus of like my life in a lot of ways. Like I want to like realize and emphasize the whole importance of community, whether it's in person, like people around you, but also online, in these free software projects that we participate in, like these global efforts. I'm here, you're there, there's people everywhere all around, and we kind of come together to like work on these like shared goals and in these shared spaces, each in our own capacity, at our own pace as life allows. Community has been kind of like, I guess, my obsession. Like I want to emphasize its importance, and just try to encourage everyone to like, let's just come together, be together, work together, be one as a people with our own like individual backgrounds and differences. That's what makes it beautiful, is the diversity also. So
Yeah, we get to learn a lot from diversity from each other. If we are all the same, then we don't really need each other. Like, if we are exactly the same, then of course I know you already. There's nothing to talk about. Right? But
exactly.
Just to add on the point of the community, which also you mentioned earlier in different words, is the idea that it's kind of the commons. Like, if we want it to be in a good shape, we also have to get involved. At least with the parts we are interested in, and try our best. And if everybody does a little bit of that, then we have a better commons, the common good that we are sharing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And we can see that theme repeat itself everywhere, like in all kinds of different communities, whether it's like in person, like some people gathering together for like a local cause, or if it's like something like free software, like these projects that we gather in around and participate in, like Emacs, Debian, GNU, whatever. And also like efforts like, for example, the right to own or the right to repair, like the person who's kind of famous doing this on YouTube, like Louis Rossmann. I think his whole thing is like he wants to like clean up his own corner of the world and like contribute to making it better, start from there, and just see what he can do in his own lane, in his area of expertise or whatever, to improve that, and then hopefully gradually bring that to other parts, or like encourage other people and inspire them to like realize their own sort of ambitions and hopes and bring it to their own areas of life. So the community and the commons.
Yeah, and it's a good paradigm to live by, where it's like try to be the change you want to see in your small corner of the world, and you never know, but do your part and things will happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Very well. I say we call it a day. We covered a lot of ground. Of course, there is much more. Like I would like to ask you about your country of origin. I would like to know a lot more, but maybe we can talk about it some other day, because then we will be talking for like 5 hours easily.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like I could easily go on for many more hours, just like, talking about like, I don't know, humanity. And also we didn't really get into anything Emacs related too much. Like, I mean, we kind of did, like we touched on like EmacsConf, but we didn't really talk about anything technical about our uses of Emacs. So maybe some other time we can do that. It's going to be fun.
Because my concern was like, we were talking about EmacsConf, and then I was thinking, like, because I always go with the flow with these, I was thinking, well, if I now ask you about Emacs and we talk about Emacs, then the first hour will be just about Emacs, and then I won't get to the Internet Archive and anything else, which I thought was also an important thing to cover. Because it's not like I get frequently people to talk about it, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's great. So thank you for doing that and just going with the flow. It's been great. I love the experience. It's been a lot of fun. You're very easy and like pleasant to chat with. So loved it.
Thank you. Likewise, in this case.
Thank you.
Very good. So let's call it a day. Then I will stop the recording, and I will probably publish it today, but I might run out of electricity. So if I don't publish it this evening, tomorrow morning.
Sounds good. Sounds great. And I'll be sure to mirror it.
Yeah.
I'll send you some links, and then I'll be sure to mirror this one as well on the Internet Archive.
Wonderful. So So take
Okay.
care, Amin. Thank you for your time, and good luck with everything. And thank you for all your contributions to free software, free knowledge, and everything else.
Thank you so much, Prot. Appreciate it. Thank you as well for your time and also for having me. It's been fun. It's been great. And thank you also for all you do around Emacs and our community and communities. And yeah, it's just a joy to talk to. So yeah, thank you and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. So take care. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye for now.
For now. That's all from my side, folks. Take care. Goodbye.